Kingston, is Dax transferring? I don't know what you're talking about. No, I don't believe so. That would be the most shocking transfer in the history of Michigan football for me if Daxton Hill were to transfer after becoming basically a starter the last few games of the year. Certainly with injuries, was a starter for the Ohio State game, the Indiana game. So I don't know where that's coming from. I have not even seen that rumor anywhere, even from the most ridiculous people on Twitter. So if you've got Nate Kingston, if you've got questions or some insight behind that, certainly let me know. DM me on IG, Twitter, whatever it is, and I'll look into it. But as far as I know, no word at all on Daxton Hill transferring. Will Moraz, do you see any transfer QBs coming to Michigan for a fifth year? I don't think it's crazy to think about, right? You guys might, everyone loves the backup quarterback, right? It's always, if you're not winning every game, the backup quarterback's the most popular guy, for any football team, pro, college, sometimes even high school. And if Joe Milton or Dale McCaffrey were ready-made generational talents, I think they would have got more playing time this year. So maybe they're not as good as expected. And there's a guy out there in the transfer portal now that was Jim Harbaugh's #1 recruit, I believe, of any quarterback he's gone after in his time at Michigan. That's KJ Costello, right? At one time in 2016, a 5-star quarterback. I think he ended up dropping outside of a 5-star by the time the rankings were finished. But he was Stanford's quarterback for the last 3 years. But you see, this year, injured, only played in 5 games. So kind of remedial stats in a lot of ways. But keep your eye out for this one. If Harbaugh doesn't think that Joe Milton or Dylan McCaffrey can beat Ohio State or run the offense that he wants, KJ Costello was the guy they went after so hard before before Brandon Peters became the quarterback that signed in the 2016 class. He was their guy. I don't think Harbaugh's recruited any player. Josh Rosen, potentially a candidate. Right when Harbaugh got the job, he went after Josh Rosen pretty hard as well. But KJ Costello, Stanford, 3-year starter, only got him about 2.5 years. Keep an eye out for this one. Not saying it's going to happen, but he is the only candidate I think that has the talent level, the familiarity with Jim Harbaugh, and as I said, the talent level to get it done. Not playing in the type of offense that Michigan does at Stanford, but I think could come in and certainly pick up the offense and play at a high level pretty quick. But I'll ask you guys this question, and we're not talking about KJ Costello here. Type below 5 or 10, or type in the live chat, 5 or 10. Who is going to be the starting quarterback for Michigan in 2020? First game of the year, on the road at Washington. Washington team that absolutely just destroyed Boise State in their bowl game. So they're feeling good. They went to bat for their departing coach, Chris Peterson. They'll have a new coach next year. Maybe Jacob Eason comes back. Maybe he goes on to the pros. I'm not sure at this point, but I want to know from you guys, 10 or 5. I'm going to go with 10 at this point. Dylan McCaffrey, but I certainly don't think it's a guarantee. Say what I mean when I say what I say at 5. I was like, is that guy typing that out? It's a pretty interesting username. Say what I mean and mean what I say. It's the longest username I've ever seen. D Original saying 5, but it will be 10. Does he mean 5 starts, but 10 takes over, or does he just think it should be 5, but it will be 10? Sean Mays, Wabana says 5. I'm going to go with 10, but I believe this storyline, McCaffrey, Milton, maybe a transfer, I don't know. I mean, Jim Harbaugh's taken a lot of transfer quarterbacks in his 5 years at Michigan. Shea Patterson, Jake Rudock, John O'Corn, that it certainly wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for a transfer to come in and compete. But this storyline, who will be the starting quarterback next year, will be what we talk about all off-season long. #Michigan question coming up. Make sure, as you guys saw on the last screen, following your boy James Yoder on Facebook. But who would you replace Don Brown with if Alabama rips through his defense? Well, I had an awesome candidate that I really liked, but he just took a really weird job with FAU. Willie Taggart hired, his name's escaping me right now. I'm having a live challenge to remember the guy's name, but he's a former Jim Leavitt. Okay, I'm just going to type it, look it up really quick. But Jim Leavitt, former defensive staffer with Jim Harbaugh in San Francisco, was the defensive coordinator a few years back at Oregon, made the trip to Florida State when Willie Taggart got the job there. And now Taggart's going to FAU, and Leavitt was out there as a candidate for the last couple weeks. Jim Harbaugh didn't jump on it. I think Harbaugh may be too loyal for letting guys leave with dignity. This is the kind of result you see the difference in the last 2 years versus Don Brown's first 2 years. Been the defensive coordinator 4 years. giving up 30 points 4 straight years. So I thought Jim Leavitt would be a great option. But if not Leavitt, Jim Harbaugh is going to have to go make a splashy hire somehow if Don Brown is not the defensive coordinator. So I ask you guys the question, will Don Brown be the DC in 2020? Will Don Brown return for his 5th year at Michigan? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I don't know about you guys. It's tough to predict, right? So if you're putting money on it or something like that, I don't know what I would say, but I'm going to say no, which might be crazy to think about, but I think the writing's been on the wall in a lot of ways. So I'm going to say no. You guys, we keeping it rolling, at least with hashtag Michigan. Okay, use hashtag Michigan, but give me your thoughts on Don Brown if you want to. Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm going to say no, which is a bold prediction. I'd probably get like 4-1 odds for predicting that, but I just don't know where Michigan can go if they get blown out by Alabama. What will Michigan football fans think the future of this program is if you keep a guy like Don Brown who can't beat any of the good teams on your schedule? We got some coaching shirts on sale that I want to make sure you guys were checking out. If you order today, folks, you can still get them delivered by Christmas Eve. Wrap them up, put them under the tree. This Michigan coaching shirt, usually like $70, is under $50, 30% off, one of my favorite purchases this year. Or this half-off Michigan football jacket. You buy that for a brother, a dad, a boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever. You are making somebody's year, giving them an awesome Michigan football jacket to wear to games all winter long into next fall, or all Michigan football items. We've got hats, we've got jerseys, we've got T-shirts, etc. from our merchandise partner, chatsports.com/blue. I've got my community team putting that in the comments section right now, chatsports.com/blue. Hundreds of items still can get delivered by Tuesday. Select the right shipping option. Hundreds of Michigan gear, a lot of Nike, a lot of Jordan stuff in there, up to 50% off. Tom McDaniel, and I think this is sarcasm, Harbaugh just needs his quarterback. Maybe he can find his QB in his 6th recruiting class. And wild to think about that Jim Harbaugh is going into his 6th year with Michigan, yet he hasn't had a quarterback that he recruited ever throw for 200 yards in the game. Right? I'll repeat that. No quarterback that came in as a recruit under Jim Harbaugh has thrown for 200 yards in the game in his 5 seasons. Jake Rudock in 2015, 5th-year transfer from Iowa. 2016, Wilton Spate, Brady Hoke guy in his 3rd year in the program. And in 2017, it was the Spates, it was the O'Korn, it was the Brandon Peters started a few games, but his highest passing total was like 186 yards. So 2018, 2019, Shea Patterson, another transfer. So Jim Harbaugh has not developed a high school kid into a starting quarterback at Michigan, which is very, very surprising. And this is the quarterback room he'll be dealing with. And the 2 guys there at the end, don't expect them to take a single snap their entire career. Andy Maddox, Ren Heffley, walk-ons, but hey, with not that much quarterback depth, guys will put on the list just to make sure that they get their faces some screen time here in the Michigan Football Report. But it's McCaffrey or Milton. Maybe Cade McNamara surprises us all, but not too many people are talking about him or expect him to be the starting quarterback at Michigan in the 2020 season. So we'll see what happens. Michigan just got a commitment from another player, a lower-rated player, for the 2020 recruiting class this week. So we'll toss him on there for the next show. But nevertheless, it's going to be Milton, it's going to be McCaffrey, but don't be surprised if Michigan goes after a grad transfer potentially to bolster up that quarterback room if they don't think Milton or McCaffrey are the guys. All right, next question up from Nate Kingston. I want to remind you guys to subscribe to the show. You see it there. Also follow us on Facebook. We'll toss that link up there in a second. If Michigan were to fire Harbaugh, for example, who would be a great coach for Michigan, the next great coach for Michigan? You guys, there's a lot of people out there who say, who would Michigan get if Harbaugh wasn't the coach? A lot of people in national media say that too, as if Jim Harbaugh is the best coach Michigan could get. And I believe that when he was hired in, and maybe that's the truth. Maybe that's the case that he is the best coach Michigan can get. But think about the college football playoff this year. You got 4 teams: Ohio State, LSU, Oklahoma, Clemson. Would you believe none of those teams went out and made a big splashy hire for somebody for $8 million a year to get them to leave an NFL team or another college job to come be their coaches? All 4 of those guys were internal promotions, okay? That means they were on the staff No other school liked him enough to give him a job to be head coach, at least at the time. And their own school said, you know what, we've got a coaching option. Come on up. Oklahoma, Ohio State, their legendary coaches, Bob Stoops, Urban Meyer, both retired, had a hot young offensive coordinator ready to take over, and the trains keep running on time right there. They've got two coaches who are probably going forward the best young coaches in the game. Both of them are 40 years for Ryan Day. I think it's 39, 40, and Lincoln Riley, 35 or under. And then LSU and Clemson, probably the most two talented teams in the country. With Ohio State the third, you've got coaches who took over as interim coaches when the head coach got fired for not getting the job done according to their expectations. Les Miles and Tommy Bowden, wasn't that the guy? Tommy, like there's a lot of Bowdens out there. And a coach came in, took over the rest of the season, did enough to get the job. And Coach O, I think even Dabo for a while, people were questioning him his first few years, but they've turned into powerhouses at both those schools. Coach O, third year, already has LSU, the number one team in the country. So I don't think there's this overall thing that if Michigan were able to fire Jim Harbaugh, or if he were to take another job, go back to the NFL, that Michigan would all of a sudden just be a 6-6 team in perpetuity. A lot of good coaches out there. You never know if the next great Michigan coach is already on the staff right now, like they were at those four schools. Guys, I want to ask you a favor. Got to set a goal for every show. It's the mantra of Chat Sports. Into 2020, we're gonna keep this thing rolling. You guys have been so great supporting the show. The YouTube channel is growing. But want to also make sure you don't forget about us on Facebook. I launched a Facebook page for myself about the middle of the year. Quickly got to a couple thousand followers, but really haven't grown it much since. Never really talked about it on the show. So they put it in front of me like, James, I got to grow this one in 2020. So put it there at the bottom of the screen. It's James Yoder, Michigan Football. You see the name, you know the team. Just type it in. Search for it if you want to Facebook. But at 2,000 followers, likers, subscribers, whatever they call them on Facebook early on, and going to try and grow that page into the new year. So make sure to follow on Facebook. Facebook.com/James Yoder Michigan Football. We're going to continue on with our Michigan football rumors. Got that bad boy. Need a moment, Alicia? Need a moment? We're good to go. All right, follow me on Facebook. We're going to continue the show here on YouTube Live with our Michigan football rumors right now.